So, yes, education is a big deal for me. It's a big passion of mine, and technology is a tool that we all use. I use everything I do is done on the computer, on my phone. I read books. I don't actually read books. I listen to books. I just finished a book just before we got on this podcast. So I do everything with technology. All right. So education in our time is it's something we all need, and our countries in Africa, we have a big deficit in that space. Okay, and before we can progress, we need to narrow down the deficit. Okay, so as the co-founder of a leading tech startup, how are the members of our community, okay, our society, catching up with the education on using technology?
So, I mean, I'd like to say that, technology has literally like revolutionized the way we learn and
Mm,
educate ourselves. I mean, the widespread use of technology has made learning more accessible, flexible, personalized, and it's is allowing individuals to learn at their own pace and also according to their learning styles. And there's also in recent years been a significant shift towards digital learning with
okay.
an increasing number of educational institutions, and individuals adopting EdTech tools. But you see, where the conversation is still in how accessible, right, these platforms and tools are. With the COVID-19 pandemic, right, it forced a lot of institutions and schools to move to remote learning.
Yeah.
But the culture, the traditional culture of learning has not necessarily changed. The mindset of learning has not necessarily changed. So while, yeah, schools are building e-learning portals and everything, but they're not moving their talents, right? They're not moving their academy or their teaching staff towards being prepared for the world of remote, right? And I don't know if I told you, I'm also leading, for example, we have something called the Nigeria Startup Act, right? That
Okay. Yeah.
I'm leading the state adoption program on that. And one of the things that I have sort of learned in doing that work is the fact that the mentality, something we call schema bias, right? The mentality of human beings trying to, come together. There is the intersection between displacement and disruption.
Yeah.
So this is a place where founders like us have now come to create, an edtech learning platform that uses all this technology to be able to revolutionize the learning and all that. But we're not working hand in hand with the stakeholders that are supposed to do like the handoff,
Yeah.
right? And and because we're not working with them, what happens is that by the time I launch my academy, uh, I don't. There are not a lot of teachers. The teachers, a lot of people come to my academy and now don't go to schools, and so teachers will lose their jobs because
Mm,
the schools will no longer be able to cater to the amount of teachers that they have because nobody's coming to school.
yeah.
But supposing I worked hand in hand with the stakeholders and we were able to onboard, right? Onboard these teachers and teach them how they can be on the platform, how they can learn. What will happen is, okay, so that is where that disruption, and that's where that intersection is where we still have a problem in the education sector,
Yeah.
right? There's still not that handshake, right? between the old and the new, because the new is here, which is technology, right?
Yeah.
Is here, and more people are going to shift towards there. But how do we make sure that there's no redundancy, that we're not causing more problems because while we're trying to do good? It is what my academy is doing. We're onboarding, lecturers and teachers, because these people have the learning, they have the experience, right? We just want to convert that into an accessible platform where even the lecturers can teach at their own time, right? Can, have students do homeworks at their own time and whatever. And they use some of that time to do some personal work, some personal, much needed personal work that they can.
Yeah.
And so that's where we had that problem. We still have that disconnect, right? So I was just saying that where we have that problem in the educational, sector is that disconnect, right? That handshake between the old and the new.
Yeah.
And until we do it, we'll still have the disruptions, but we'll still be left with the displacements.
So apart from the handshake, I see infrastructure as a problem. Now I see, because of the poverty level in our society, at this time, I would assume that only upper middle class Nigerians can use platforms like yours. Okay, they're the ones that have the funds to buy unlimited data packages. Okay, for their kids or for themselves. So I wouldn't assume at this time we have more than 10 to 20% of our population accessing this kind of solutions.
Oh yes, you're correct, Ekene. You're actually correct. But you see, that's why I'm working on the policy side, right?
Okay.
So now, with the Nigerian Startup Act, what the government is now going to be mandated to do is to sort of give priority to certain areas, and one of such areas is infrastructure.
Yeah.
And then again, with proper legislation and great policies, we attract investment, right? And attracting investment means that people can come in and put in this infrastructure that we're looking for, and sort of also make revenue from it. And with more internet penetration into rural areas, right?
Yeah.
With internet penetration, with more infrastructure like power, and because there's more investment and more startups are building and solving problems, the quality of life across will increase, right? And then more people can be able to access, more people can access, some of these learning portals. But as for the rural areas, right, there's always going to be, products that will sort of be created for them.
Yeah.
But then also, like I said, the handshake, because if we're creating products, right, that probably have to work with solar and things like that because of access to power, the internet connectivity has to come from the government. So the government has to, make right of way zero naira, right? So a lot more people can come in there, and internet will be at least nothing or very little or less than free, right? Something like it, so that people can have this access. In fact, quality education up to a certain age should be free, even online, right? So these are some of the things that we are going to be working on. But like I said, until this handshake happens, right? A lot of things can happen only through the private sector. It also has to happen with that, partnership.
That's true. That's true.